What's going on, guys? I'm Combat Craig, and today we're talking about PTSD claims. First, you need to start with a diagnosis. The diagnosis must come from a VA psychiatrist, VA psychologist, or a CNP examiner. I would not wait for your diagnosis to come from a CNP examiner because this might happen to you. And this is a common and big mistake that happens to a lot of veterans that are filing PTSD claims. I was talking to another veteran in boot camp the other night. Check that out. CombatCraig.com, links in the description. When you mix in ADHD and PTSD into the same claim, you're probably going to run into problems. The reason why, the VA views ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, as a childhood personality disorder. So if you have that kind of sketchy, cloudy diagnosis before you go into your CNP exam and it's not clear, the CNP examiner is going to attempt to torpedo your VA claim and convolute it with your childhood stuff and your ADHD. It's not about that. This has nothing to do with your childhood. This has to do with your active duty service because you're a combat veteran. All right, service connection may be granted for a disability which began in military service, blah, blah, blah. Thanks, VA, we already know that. Service connection for generalized anxiety disorder, GAD. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, predominantly inattentive type, claimed as PTSD, depression, and anxiety, is denied since this condition neither occurred in nor was caused by service. So this thing's already messed up right here on sentence 2. So this is a claim that was filed as PTSD, right? But we got claimed as generalized anxiety disorder, ADD, depression, anxiety. We got all these things mixed in here. So you're basically just kind of handing the CNP examiner and the VA rater a big bag of shit. Hey man, I don't know what to do. You guys sort it out. So you don't want to do that. So you want to go in with a clear diagnosis from a VA psychologist or a VA psychiatrist. The VA examiner opined that your GAD, with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, predominantly inattentive, is less likely than not. That means claim torpedoed. The veteran's currently diagnosed GAD is less likely than not of an in-service stressor-related event. The veteran's currently diagnosed ADHD is less likely than not the result of an in-service stressor-related event. All right, we got a couple things going on here. First of all, less likely than not, that means a chance less than 50%. Claim torpedoed. You don't want that. I mean, you tee it up the best way you can, but showing up to a CNP exam because a VSO just kind of filed a bunch of stuff for you, not a very good way to go. This is what will happen. So the CNP examiner here is looking at the generalized anxiety disorder, trying to completely discount the stressor and the PTSD, and he's focused on ADHD. The VA looks at ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, as something that happens when you're a kid. The VA has a real problem with ADD when you're diagnosed as an adult. So avoid it. If you have ADD and you're trying to prove any kind of mental health claim, get that out of your way because it's going to be a problem. Get it out of your way. What do I mean by that? Go get another diagnosis, go to another VA shrink, get out of the enemy's territory and go to a private doctor and get a real diagnosis and have something to say it's combat PTSD and focus on the combat PTSD. Do not let them have an opening to talk about your childhood and your ADD because they are going to suck you in and they're going to camp out on it. And this is a normal question. So how was your childhood? Fine. Whatever. Grew up, middle-class family. Yeah, but there's ADD problems and they're going to suck you in and they're going to focus on that. And you need to move them past that part of the conversation. Yeah, doc, family was great. Got a couple spankings. My mom beat me a couple times. It was the 70s. It's all good. Let's go back to fear for your life in combat when I was in Afghanistan, and you have to move the conversation. So one of the easiest ways to avoid having to move the conversation is by not having ADD a factor. You could just discount it and be like, yeah, whatever, I don't know where that diagnosis came from. I'm here because I have a diagnosis of PTSD. His generalized anxiety disorder is not directly related to his military service, but involves multiple current family and work stressors. They're going back to your childhood. Do not let them go back to your childhood. They're going to ask about your pre-service history. What was childhood like, right? Active duty, and then after active duty. Your story is combat PTSD happened. I feared for my life. That was my stressor. And then my life fell apart after that. My childhood was just fine. Then they go on, ADHD is a developmental disorder that starts in childhood, is not caused by stressor-related event. Exactly, because you're 5. So don't be talking about that with your C&P examiner. And if he goes there, get him out of there. Therefore, direct service connection has been denied for your claim condition. You didn't prove anything. You came in there with no clear diagnosis and a hodgepodge at best of mental health stuff because you didn't go get an actual diagnosis. Go get one. PTSD diagnosis needs to come from a VA psychologist or a VA psychiatrist. Get it. You need a VA psychologist or a psychiatrist to initiate the diagnosis. And then when you go to your C&P exam, you might not even go to one. I didn't go to one for mine. But if you do, then you can address the ADD and just kind of dismiss it. But if you're going to let the duty to assist you with all your mental health problems, like, oh man, what's up, VSO? Yo, what up? Hey, VSO, you alive? You look like you're about 130. I mean, these guys literally, they don't give a shit. They'll just file whatever. Oh yeah, hodgepodge of mental health. That is a great way to get a PTSD claim denied. Granted, this is a combat PTSD claim. It's on his DD-214. He filled out his stressor statement, his 0781. He has a stressor. He feared for his life, and this still happened. They steered him down ADD alley. It's okay to have generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, even episodic alcohol use disorder, even though that one gets a little dangerous. But you don't want a childhood kid disorder in the mix because they're just going to focus on it. Then they go on to say a direct grant of service connection requires medical evidence of a current disability, which you don't have already, evidence of the incurrence or aggravation of disease or injury in active military service. That's where you feared for your life. The link. You're a combat veteran. You already have established that. You need to hammer home that your combat PTSD started in combat. It has nothing to do with ADD. If you have depression, major depressive disorder, or generalized anxiety disorder, those are okay. ADD, not okay. If you have an adjustment disorder, I'd ditch that too. Any of these personality disorders can just poison and torpedo your VA claim. I'd like to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Hill & Ponton. They're VA accredited attorneys. If you're facing a denial, they might be able to help. Check them out at hillandponton.com. And this is what I teach in my boot camp, guys, this kind of stuff. We literally had this conversation about a PTSD claim mixed in with the ADD claim the other night. So check that out at combatcraig.com, and I will see you in the next video.